Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, you may have heard rumours in certain communities of residents purchasing electricity from Eskom workers at below the going rate. Well, it turns out it's true. It actually happens. It's been revealed electricity thieves working for Eskom and City Power have been illegally selling electricity tokens to the public, and their business is booming. In 2021, Eskom reported a syndicate was operating across the country, selling prepaid electricity using ghost machines and costing the utility millions in revenue. Let's speak to forensics expert Calvin Rafadi over the extent of this problem and what it's actually costing Eskom. Calvin, good morning and thank you very much for your time.
Morning, and thanks for the invite.
You know, we've spoken ever so often about the factors that have brought Eskom to this point where it's at. But very little has been said about this phenomena. We find out that it's something that is well known, that people are actually paying at least 50% for electricity in certain quarters. Talk to us about these ghost machines and how this works, where people are getting these electricity vouchers.
Yeah, you know, first of all, Eskom is very embarrassed to speak about this particular issue because there are awarenesses that they make on their social media, their portal, Twitter, and some of the newspapers. They do cover issues that there is illegal selling of electricity. But normally how it's done, they ignore to speak about it because it's a historical issue whereby this so-called CDU machines, credit dispenser unit, known as ghost vending machines, they used to be legal and operating for Eskom, so they recall them during the time when they introduced the internet, you know, because those particular machines, they work on a DOS program, Windows 7. So upon recalling these particular machines, they were stored at one area, one of the Eskom storage in Polokong, in the Vereeniging. So most of those machines, they were stolen, but they were stolen by some of the officials, managerial officials from customer care and even other managers in the storage. Solely because now, immediately after they introduced the online, they now took out a tender for the online vending of selling and purchasing of electricity. So these particular machines, because they work offline, they now are back in the market, and all they have to do with the customer care, some of the senior managers, they just update the tariffs on this particular machine that the machine can function. So the business is booming, and I always say they're running a parallel Eskom through these particular machines.
And then we wonder why Eskom is on its knees right now.
Exactly my point, because and the worrying factor is if anytime NERSA introduces or updates the tariffs or increases the tariffs, the same has to be done on this particular machine. Because some of the senior managers and the managers at Eskom, they've got what we call a stiffy disk or floppy disk, they call it, some of them, or a managerial, you swipe the card. So you've seen when you go in the likes of ShopRite or Woolworths, or if you make any error about purchasing anything, they call the manager to swipe on
to override,
so they can verify and update. So they do the same to verify, to update this particular machine.
My goodness, it's a whole network. So how would the customers be then spotted or brought? Because we understand that it's done on social media, where they recruit, they tell people that if you want electricity at perhaps discounted rates, you can then come to them, you pay the money, and then you get your voucher.
Yes. You see, some of these customers, what happens is they are not aware they are buying from the syndicate, and of which some are. Like we've seen in most of the pensioners, they are not aware that they are buying from illegal vendors of this particular ghost vending machine. What happened at some point, I think it was in 2017, when I had a contract of recovering these machines at Eskom. By the way, I'm in court with them on the same issue. But
yes.
In 2017, what happened, we found that there was a runner at some of the paying points of SASA, whereby pensioners were complaining that every time we go home, we try to load the particular meter, prepaid meter, it doesn't work. What happened? Little didn't they know that the updating of the credit dispenser unit, the ghost vending machine, was not updated. So the syndicate went back and they updated those particular tariffs, gave back the pensioners, and then they were in full operation. Some of the body corporates as well, some of the complexes and estates, some are not even aware that they are catered from a bulk vouchers from this particular syndicate. So the business is booming. Some are aware, some are not aware, and Eskom is trying by all means to make awareness. And I think the last arrest that they spoke about, it was last year or 2020 or 2021, where they say they arrested swiftly the ghost vending, electrical ghost vending syndicates. There is a difference, I must mention, that there is a difference of recovering a machine and arresting and making an awareness or even arresting the runner. And to my knowledge, this point, they arrested the runner, there was no machine. So those machines, they are out there, they are fully operational, and the people that mostly buy from those particular machines, they don't care about electricity. They can have all the heaters and air conditioners in the house. So you can imagine me and you, if we buy from a normal vendor for the electricity, you know how important the electricity you must consume and use in the house. But with those ones, they don't care because it's almost for free, that particular electricity.
But then when they arrest runners, what happens to those at the top that continuously update these tariffs? What is to happen there? Because one would then say, then perhaps if we join the dots, there could be a lot of conflict within Eskom. Perhaps even speaking of the poisoning when many were confused, perhaps this is what is leading to even a situation where you find out that the CEO could be poisoned. Is it not that they're getting closer to those that are dealing in such sort of syndicates?
Well, I wouldn't know, because this is also a revenue-driven and procurement issue-driven as well. I remember at some point what the Eskom did they tried to do to mitigate this particular problem. They said, no, every household, they must now disbundle all the prepaid from the main frame, the box. Now, they did so, and guess what? It's all about revenue. Telling the communities and even Eskom to say, no, if we remove this, we introduce new boxes, the ghost vending machines, it will never operate. But guess what? It doesn't work like that. Because the main frame of electricity generated from even power stations through thermal fire coal power station. And the worrying factor is even when we can introduce the IPP or the green energy or whatever the energy that we're going to introduce, all electricity is stored at Eskom College in Midrand. Now that's where the main frame is at. And that's where now this ghost vending machine, they can actually work and penetrate the firewalls. So whatever the electricity that will be generating will still be sitting with the problem. But what I'm saying is many officials are involved in this particular syndicate through the help of this particular runners and what have you. But it's a very sophisticated crime whereby they don't even communicate most of the time with the cell phones. And even when they go to the places where they do the printing, they leave the cell phones at home or even in some of their wife's car, spouse's car to drive around. Even when the police, they try to monitor the phones, is driving somewhere in the shopping mall whilst they do the printing. So it's a very sophisticated crime.
But Calvin, for those community members who know, because now when we came across the story, we started to call around and research and found out that some are fully aware that they're getting electricity at very discounted prices. They know that there's something dodgy about it, but continuously do it. What would you say to those? Because today we're all in the dark. We're all saying we might have no country to speak of. And we have community members that are part of finishing this very Eskom.
Yeah, look, you know, when you speak of community issues, it's especially with the number of unemployment, we are not promoting crime. But, you know, also there's a phrase that if you can't beat them, join them. There are many those who have been calling on Eskom, you know, they've got their helpline or whatever, the reporting line, but they are not getting any joy out of that. So they end up even purchasing electricity from this particular syndicate. It's more like when they are vigilantes, many people, even when they go on strike, they go there to loot because people are hungry. But what we are saying, we are not promoting that particular crime. We need to deal with the main cause.
Inside
the
Eskom.
Managers of Eskom who are involved. And guess what? We are sitting with the data, but where do you take that particular data? Who's got the teeth to action those particular data? That is the problem, because it has been an ongoing crime for many years.
And you've had this data for long. At some point you said in one of your reports, you handed over the reports to the CEO, but you hadn't been called back to at least give some sort of a briefing on what exactly you established when you went out and investigated. So is there nobody else that you've attempted to hand the data to?
Look, there are many data that we've handed at Eskom. It was what you are speaking about, it was of the power station, the sabotaged power station, of which we have done. Successfully so. We reported even to the Hawks. We are waiting for a feedback to be called because I'm part of being the complainant. But on issues of ghost vending, the last attempt that we did, we reported this thing to the then head of security, head of legal, which was Mr. Bartlett Heu. But somewhere along the line, I think in 3-4 weeks, he was then fired for also purchasing the same electricity at his house. I mean, if you can just Google his name, you can see that he's been fired for buying electricity from this particular syndicate. So you can see that, that's what I'm saying. We are still trying to see.
But you say some of us don't know. So possibly now we all have a bit of homework if we are to assist in saving Eskom, to say we need to establish where exactly we're getting our electricity. Is it Eskom or the Eskom 2.0 that has been created by officials?
Yes. It's easy to tell because we were taught that there's a format of a receipt that you can see that this particular receipt, it's actually generated from a ghost vending machine. And now they also avoid sending out this particular receipts because the runners, they go as far as going to the particular place, collecting the receipts for every household. Now they send out SMSs, but the units, they are so much on this particular machine. So we can urge the community to stop buying this particular electricity and to perhaps even report to the forensic of Eskom because they've got some help, customer line where you can report this particular crime. But the problem that I'm having with Eskom, because I've done enough due diligence, is how do they channel the information that is being brought in to their attention? That is the problem. I remember forensic reports to where? To legal. Now there are also issues there at legal because as far as I know, and I've done my researches, the Eskom legal panel, it was not advertised through National Treasury. So you can see that people are doing one another favors and there's a lot of shenanigans even within the Eskom. But we need a proper CEO, a proper chairperson and the board to root out this particular corruption activities within Eskom, then it shall be over.
Calvin, thank you very much for your time and your insights. That's forensic expert Calvin Rafadi. More news on the other side of this break. Do stay with us.